Last year, while attending Rocky Mountain Audio Festival, I wandered into a room to find two brothers that make loudspeakers. Actually, let me rephrase to spice things up. After hearing quite a few rooms of pretentious BS and super expensive let-me-downs, I was lucky enough to hear speakers that actually measured up to the price of admission. Now that I have your attention, and I'm hopefully holding it, let's get this show on the road and get to the good stuff. With the number one goal of offering outstanding value in every speaker they build, Todd and Trevor Ryan have crashed the cork-sniffing audiophile hoopla party and brought us a bookshelf speaker that needs no excuses. Priced at $2,000, the R610 includes drivers that are designed in-house and manufactured under the Ryan brothers' direct supervision. The woofer makes use of a laminated Nomex cone that minimizes breakup throughout the audio spectrum. For treble duties, Ryan uses a proprietary treated cloth dome tweeter sourced in Japan. Even when dropping down into the resonance frequency of the tweeter, you can expect ultra-low distortion and amazing clarity. To top things off, the Ryan brothers surrounded the tweeter with felt pads they tore off my dad's leisure suit we dropped off at Goodwill sometime in 1987. Okay, I'm joking. Those, my friends, are felt rings to minimize early reflections, and yes, they do exactly that. On the backside, the R610 encourages those of you who walk on the wild side to go bananas and try by-wire configurations to your heart's content. The rear plate offers some of the coolest 5-way binding posts I have ever used or seen that lead to an internal crossover using air core inductors, Mundorf metal oxide resistors, and Clarity polypropylene capacitors. Also worth pointing out, instead of cutting out a simple circle and slamming in a plastic port, Todd and Trevor actually set out to make things look nice even when they didn't have to. Bottom line here, folks, the Ryan brothers don't spend their time dragging shopping carts through the clearance section at Parts Express. These guys shop for the good stuff, and let me tell you, their attention to detail is about to pay off big time. The R610s have a classic retro look that I can appreciate. Real wood veneer with edge-to-edge precision make way for a handsome hand finish and come in a variety of options for any decor. Finishes include oak veneer with clear, black, or coffee, or walnut and cherry with clear and red finishes. While the pair sent to me are review samples and do have a couple small dings, I would say the Ryan brothers have certainly paid attention in woodshop. Everything about the fit and finish of these speakers exceeds all expectations and would easily pass the most discriminating critic when it comes to build quality. Plugging in the R610s for the very first time was one of those moments I wanted to set my notepad to the side and simply listen to music. I have heard my fair share of bookshelves, and I know when a designer is doing their job well. This was certainly the case of the R610s. The bass coming from these bookshelves shocked me. Deep, powerhouse slam, ranging from anything from the thud of a kick drum to the musical climb of upright basses, sounded clear and accurate, and there was no pretending when it came to serious big boy bass. When a crossover is thoughtfully designed, you will hear a cohesive presentation that glues all the drivers together and allows them to sing with one voice. The second observation that drew me in with the R610s was exactly that. These speakers have one coherent voice, and my goodness, that voice was glued together with elegance. I've also heard enough monitors in my days that when a speaker is braced correctly, it gives way to a musical connection that can't be mistaken for a crapshoot box tossed together with particle board, duct tape, and Elmer's glue. As I made my way through Madeleine Peyroux's Half the Perfect World, I heard all of the above and so much more. The detail on the Ryan R610s was off the charts, with a soundstage so vivid and lifelike, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up and gave a standing ovation to the Ryans. The word spooky comes to mind when describing the disappearing act of the R610s, and left me sitting there with my jaw dropped and mind blown. To say that I liked what I heard pour out of the R610s would be quite the understatement. The R610s are easy peasy to place. You are going to be hard-pressed to find a better speaker for smaller-sized rooms when looking for a complete picture of hi-fi. Apartment and condo dwellers will appreciate the fact that you don't need the Taj Mahal to get these speakers to sound right out of the box. Trying a number of placement options in my room, I discovered these sound great in a number of locations. And for the first time in New Record Day history, I not only found one specific place that I loved these, I found three. While I won't spend the next 15 minutes going into extensive details, I will make it clear that the R610s will make way for a great presentation in a number of locations without much fuss. For those of you who already have more detail than they know what to do with, I noticed that swinging the Ryans out a bit more and avoiding an aggressive toe-in certainly helped warm up the top end. Will you end up with a campfire? Not really. So for those of you searching for an ultra-romantic tone, might want to make some phone calls to Ryan and ask for pairing suggestions based on your gear. Keeping the speakers towed in on the conservative side also created a wide soundstage and gave way to a beautiful soundscape. In fact, separation does seem to be a key in getting the Ryans to really shine. I would suggest no less than 7 to 8 feet apart before you really start to hear what I love about these beautiful sounding speakers. Tossing on Mobile Fidelity's fantastic reissue of Brothers in Arms and heading straight through the first track, So Far Away and Money for Nothing, gave a crystal clear portrait of what the top end of the R610s sound like. Without question, these tweeters are definitely on the detailed side of the swimming pool, and I can say with great authority that the R610s are not what I would consider warm or relaxed. Extension reaches to the tip top of skyscrapers in Troubletown and gives an intricate look of what cymbals actually sound like when the smack of the drumstick breaks through a mix with slice and dice authority. Do the Ryans top end dazzle me as much as the recently reviewed Salk Veracities? It's close, but not quite. Both tweeters paint an accurate image of how top end is supposed to sound, and the Ryans do pick a serious fight. If pressed, I'd say the difference could come down to tone. Being a rabid fan of ribbons, it might just be my own personal preference, having nothing to do with which one is actually better, if you catch my drift. Following suit of a detail-rich top end, the R610's intricate tone trickled seamlessly into the mid-range instruments and vocals. Dropping the needle on Lord Huron's recent release, Strange Trails, I was greeted with a musical performance that surrounded the outer edges of my ears with a mid-range to die for. Every single strum, pluck, and pick of an acoustic guitar popped out of a pitch-black background like little fireflies, floating around my soundstage and making great company as the album progressed. The vocal presentation was big and bold, with plenty of meat on the bones. Instruments are clear and focused with laser-line precision. Even in tough-to-render mixes, I was able to clearly gaze into the music and yank out every little detailed nuance I was searching for. By the time the album came to a close with the beautiful ballad, The Night We Met, I was convinced the only thing missing on the R610s might be a couple more zeros added to the price tag. I'm not messing around here, folks. There are quite a few high-dollar speakers on the front covers of the magazines we have near the crapper that won't touch what I hear in the Ryans. The R610s offer accurate tuneful bass that needs no excuses. To clarify, in my room, which measures 15 feet wide and 14 feet deep, with another room behind the listening position, The Ryans have enough bass to convince me that they will do just fine in similar situations without the need of extra firepower. Tossing on the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, the wedding song off Mosquito, I was 100% satisfied with the bottom of the barrel octaves resonating from the kick and toms on that track. Equally impressive was the Ryans' ability to play the notes with speed and clarity, making the constant bombardment of each hit easy to distinguish from each other. Hoping to break this near-perfect streak of good and gushy news about the R610s and find something to nitpick, I decided to pull all the stops and toss on Queen's Dragon Attack. As the needle dropped, the R610s chuckled, backhanded me, and made it clear if I wanted to pick a fight with them, I need to do better, much better. Making my way through everything I could throw at the Ryans, I eventually came to the conclusion that, while a bookshelf and should be judged as such, the bass they bring to the party will keep heads bobbing and toes tapping without a hitch. Do you need a subwoofer? Depends on your room and music selection, but more on that in a minute. Tossing on Speaker's Corner's release of Beethoven's Symphony No. 9, I rediscovered what I love so much about the Ryan sound at Rocky Mountain Audio Festival. The R610s know how to disappear, and in the case of this incredible performance, the only complaint I had was our air conditioning unit kicking on in the middle of an otherwise near-perfect listening session. If I was in charge of the marketing team at Ryan Speakers, the first executive order I would be making is renaming the R610s as the Little Houdinis. Why? Because this disappearing act is something that needs to be heard to believe. Even when placed in near-field situations and barely towed in, I was pleased with the off-axis response of the Little Houdinis. I mean the R610s. The gorgeous sounds of violins, violas, and cellos danced on the outer edges of my listening position. When placed deep in a room and far away from the sidewalls, you will be greeted with a soundstage that is only rivaled by the absolute best-in-class designs, and even then, folks, you're going to be dealing with some diminishing returns. Kicking things up and taking into consideration that many of you bookshelf fans will want to know how these guys pair with a sub, I decided to keep things rolling and have a little more fun. Thanks to the kind folks at SVS, they supplied us with a water heater that doubles as a bass-making thunder machine. Setting the sub dead center and working my way up the crossover on the back, I found a sweet spot on the sub, and after a couple of tries I locked in the lowest octaves. Dropping the needle on Pink Floyd's Time from the blockbuster album Dark Side of the Moon, I sat down and got my game face on. With the clocks ticking and Alan Parsons' genius work unfolding in front of me, I anxiously awaited Richard Wright's contribution to decimate the city block around me. At a moment's notice, the pressure in the room spiked, and with triple-digit decibels crashing over me like a tidal wave, I was ready to call it a day, ending this review with a near-perfect score headed in the direction of Camp Ryan. Now look, I get it. I know this combo is not how the speakers are shipped, and this sub is going to set you back another $800, but I can say with a straight face, this is a tag team duo I could live with for many years to come. Well, folks, there you have it. I'd like to take the time to thank Todd and Trevor Ryan for sending out the R610s. You guys are most welcome here at New Record Day. Folks, another review is complete, and I absolutely loved what I heard with the Ryan R610s. If my review did not make it clear, I'm going to make it clear right now. Do they deserve a Ron's Pick Award? All day long, and so much more. Therefore, I have decided to up the ante and give these guys the very first Golden Record Award from NewRecordDay.com. What the heck does that mean, and why is that a big deal? I'll tell you why. Because these speakers are so incredible at their price point, I'm going to use them as my reference bookshelf from this day forward. Any other bookshelf priced at $2,000 and below will be going up against the R610s. And let me tell you something, they better bring their big boy boots, because these speakers are the real deal. If you have any other questions about the review, send me the emails, leave the comments. You guys know the drill. Peace. Take it easy. Oh, you didn't believe me. How much bass do the Ryan R610s have? This much bass.
There's a limit to your care.